Sometimes the crises we face are of a big enough scale to make the evening news, but usually they're more personal. I've had clients who made huge mistakes and lost their careers as doctors. I've worked with people so distraught by the loss of a loved one that they didn't think they would survive. But, crises can be smaller scale than that too. It might be getting your first traffic ticket, or having your identity stolen, or finding out that that friend of yours isn't really your friend. It's not really the magnitude that defines a crisis. To me, a crisis has a few other defining characteristics. It's a process or event, something with a beginning, middle, and end, that 1, marks some kind of change. 2, produces feelings of anxiety in you, as change often does for humans, quite naturally. And 3, provides an opportunity for new meaning or perspectives to form. When you think about them that way, crises are just signs of life being lived. So if you're heading anywhere in life at all, experiencing change, getting let down or hurt sometimes, experiencing other kinds of setbacks, and experiencing victories, pushing your comfort zone and growing, then crises are a necessary evil. But are they really evil? Are they really bad at all? When people talk about personal growth, change, or transformation, there's a metaphor, an example from nature that's used a lot, which is a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. Now, in real life, the caterpillar is almost completely destroyed by that process. Almost all of its body inside the cocoon turns to jelly and miraculously comes back together somehow in the form of a butterfly. What's even more amazing to me, though, is that scientists have found that things a caterpillar learns, it remembers as a butterfly. So that knowledge somehow makes it through that process of completely breaking down and reassembling. And I see the same thing happen with people. Crises are a threshold they cross, over which they carry lessons learned and meaning made from things that came before. Just like how you might have a keepsake of an important person or event in your life from long ago. We bring what was important to us through the crisis with us and pick up new material of importance in the crisis, and then come out the other side reborn. Crises are a way significance and meaning are created in our lives. And while crisis may break us down sometimes, just like the inside of a caterpillar, it's only breaking down the way things look. The essential part of you not only survives, but can thrive in the face of crisis. Crises are the way growth happens. So they might be unpleasant and necessary sometimes, but they aren't evil. I was homeless as a kid, and when the other kids in school found out, I was ridiculed mercilessly. I felt like my world was ending, but it wasn't. I was being rebuilt. That broken, demoralized elementary school me isn't here anymore. He was dissolved in the cocoon of that crisis. But his tenderness and compassion for the underdog were passed along and came through the other side. I also had mental illness crop up in my family when I was a teenager, and for a time, life didn't seem that great anymore. I wanted to be done with it, and in fact, attempted to end it. But that teenager me was dissolved in that crisis too. That angst and hopelessness were soothed by the tenderness and compassion that I'd carried with me from childhood. They helped teenage me hold myself gently and begin a long transformation into happiness and self-worth, and so on. I've been broken down, dissolved, and reborn 1,000 times in ways big and small. And most of the time, if not every time, I've come out better in some way. And so have you, I bet. So why does crisis get a bad rap? Well, obviously because it isn't pleasant to experience, but also because the after picture doesn't always look better, like a pretty butterfly, at least right away. Sometimes you have to actively search for the opportunity for growth and transformation in that soup of ingredients that you dissolve into. It's human nature to avoid the pain and difficulty of it all and just hope that something good comes of your crisis and maybe just let time heal you. But sometimes that doesn't work. The alternative is staying present with and embracing the difficulty, guiding the process wisely as best you can, and emerging on the other side of it with a different and better version of you, however you define that. Because remember, crisis is going to change you either way, so you might as well change for the better, right? Maybe you'll emerge more sensitive, compassionate, assertive, successful, stronger, or whatever. In fact, you may find yourself feeling sure enough about yourself to initiate your next crisis. Maybe you've already trusted yourself to initiate a crisis by taking bold action, like changing careers, leaving an unhealthy relationship, or picking up and moving to the place of your dreams, even though you didn't know a soul there, or something else. But as for the ones you've already experienced, here's some good news. There's no statute of limitations, no time limit on when you need to use the potential that was created from a crisis, whether that was last week, last year, or when you were a kid. The crises you've been through have left a lot of ingredients for transformation floating around in your system, and they're waiting for you to reassemble them in butterfly formation. In other words, crisis doesn't have to just break you down. It can break you open, so you're ready to grow, undergo metamorphosis, and experience life up in the air.
Even if you can't control the outcome, you can control how you are being in it. Every time crisis hit, and let me tell you what, all the entrepreneurs out there, you know crisis hits every week. Anyone who out there, you have a team or you manage a large team, you know crisis hits every week. Do you trust yourself to show up and work through that? Do you give yourself that self-talk that says, I got this, I'll handle it. Maybe I don't like it, maybe I didn't want to deal with it. Number one, it's a mindset move. And that is to remind myself that I have a rock solid faith in myself. Rock solid. It's a reminder, no matter what's going through, Brendon, you got this. You've handled way more difficult situations in your life. This is something I don't like, I can acknowledge it, but this is something I trust. I will work myself through and be successful. I will work myself through the situation. Whether the situation ends well or not, I will work myself through. I will act with integrity. I will handle this the best that I can from the best place that I can. I believe that I am capable of figuring this out. That's that confidence. Confidence is the belief in one's ability to figure things out. Now, I don't know the banking situation. I don't know the financial situation, but you know what? I'll work it through. And I know it sounds silly, but literally over the weekend, I had to help founders, startup people, entrepreneurs find their confidence again. Like, hey, listen, I know that's chaotic, but you got to step back into your center. You have to step back into your strength. You have to step back into your knowing, into your own centeredness. Because if you're not centered and you jump into the frenzied, you're just amplifying the frenzy. Your people, the people around you, your own sanity needs you to find that belief, that understanding, that readiness, that you got this. And you have to give yourself that self-talk. No one else is going to remind you that. You know, these people, they have me as an investor or as a high performance coach. So all weekend I spent with them. They have the blessing of someone else going, hey, let me remind you of the times that you have won before. Let me remind you of the difficulties you have been through before and survived. But in chaos, if you don't have someone to do that for you or with you, you don't have a coach, then you got to do that for yourself. You got to take back your self-talk. I can't handle it. I know what's going on. I'm so scared. And you got to say, okay, wait a minute. I've been through a lot in my life. I reminded a lot of these founders, I said, don't you forget that you survived trauma before. Don't you forget you're a survivor. Don't you forget how far you've already come. Don't you forget what you've already surmounted. But people forget that all the time.